All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're heading off the mainland of Spain to find some wines that are, well, they're dramatic, they're resilient, and just totally unique.
So let me ask you, when you think about Spanish wine, what's the first thing that pops into your head? I bet for a lot of you, it's the rolling hills of Rioja, right? Or maybe those big, powerful reds from Ribera del Duero. And look, you're not wrong. Those are absolute titans of the wine world. But what if I told you you're missing out on the most dramatic, the most kind of wild part of the story? That some of Spain's absolute most compelling wines are born from like literal volcanic fire and are forged by these crazy ocean winds on islands way out in the middle of the sea?
Okay, so let's get into it. We're basically setting sail for Spain's two big archipelagos. You've got the Canary Islands way out in the Atlantic, and then the Balearic Islands over in the Mediterranean. And trust me, these are two completely different worlds when it comes to wine. And this right here pretty much sums up the whole trip. On one side, you have the Canaries. Think Atlantic volcanoes. The wines are resilient, they're super mineral driven. And then on the other side, you've got the Balearics. It's all about that Mediterranean sun, giving us these elegant, fruity wines. Let's start with the volcanoes, because who doesn't want to start there? So our first stop, an archipelago where making wine is, and I'm not exaggerating, nothing short of heroic. The Canary Islands are just this incredible testament to the power of nature and, honestly, the stubbornness of the vine. This isn't just winemaking, you guys. This is survival.
Okay, to really get why these wines are so special, you have to understand this term, pay franco. So way back in the late 1800s, this tiny little bug called phylloxera basically wiped out almost all of Europe's vineyards. It was a catastrophe. The only solution was to graft the European vines onto American rootstock, which was resistant. But the Canary Islands, with their sandy volcanic soils, they were naturally immune. That bug couldn't survive there. So what does that mean? It means the vines here are a direct living link to a pre-phylloxera world. It's like tasting history.
And yeah, making wine here, it is so tough. They call it heroic viticulture, and it is not an exaggeration. Just try to picture it. You're tending to vines on these crazy steep volcanic slopes where you can't get any machinery. Everything, from pruning the vines to picking the grapes, it's all done by hand. The amount of work is just incredible, and it's all powered by pure human grit.
The ingenuity you find here is just off the charts, especially on the island of Lanzarote. I mean, the landscape looks like something from the moon. Winemakers use this method called arenado. What they do is they dig these big pits into the black volcanic ash to get down to the actual soil below. That ash then acts like a sponge, soaking up any moisture from the air overnight. And then they build these beautiful little semicircular stone walls called zocos to protect every single vine from the nonstop Atlantic winds. It is just a remarkable adaptation to a totally extreme place. So what are they actually growing in these pits and on these wild slopes? Well, the stars of the show are these amazing native grapes you really won't find anywhere else. You've got Listan Negro, that's the signature red. It's spicy, it's peppery, it's got this core of red fruit, and that unmistakable volcanic kind of soul to it. And for the whites, Malvasia volcanica is an absolute icon, super aromatic with this laser-focused acidity and minerality. So here's the bottom line. When you taste a wine from the Canary Islands, you are literally tasting the place. You get that sharp minerality from the volcanic soil, the salty, savory note from the ocean spray that's always in the air, and sometimes even this subtle, smoky thing going on. It's a flavor profile that is truly one of a kind. All right, let's switch gears completely. We're going to leave that rugged Atlantic behind and head over to the calm, bright blue waters of the Mediterranean. It's time to explore the Balearic Islands. Think Mallorca, Menorca, Ibiza. And here we find a totally different story. Okay, so the very first thing you need to get is what's under the vines. We've left that dark, porous, volcanic rock of the Canaries far behind us. Here in the Balearics, the soil is this mix of reddish, iron-rich clays and bright white limestone. And that changes everything about the wine. And the climate? It's pretty much exactly what you'd imagine for a Mediterranean island. You've got these long, warm, sun-drenched summers. But the key is the constant sea breezes that kind of moderate everything and keep it from getting too hot. That helps the grapes hold on to their freshness and acidity. It's just a gentler, more forgiving place to grow grapes compared to the Canaries.
And just like the Canaries, the Balearics have their own unique cast of native grapes. For the reds, you gotta know Montenegro and Calette. They're like a dynamic duo. Montenegro gives you this elegant red fruit backbone, and then Calette comes in with these fresh floral aromas and a whole lot of vibrancy. For the whites, the star is a grape called Mole, and it makes these wonderfully aromatic wines with this really distinct hint of bitter almond on the finish. It's lovely.
So let's put it this way. If the Canary Islands are all about that raw minerality and smoky intensity, the Balearic Islands are all about approachable elegance. The wines are more fruit-forward, they're aromatic, and they just beautifully reflect that relaxed, sun-kissed Mediterranean vibe. Okay, so we've journeyed to two very, very different Spanish island paradises. One was forged by fire, the other was kissed by the sun. Let's put them head-to-head to really drive home the contrast. This table really lays it all out. First, just look at the terroir. It's a stark contrast, right? Volcanic, high altitude, windy Atlantic versus the Mediterranean's limestone and clay. That directly impacts the grapes they grow. Listan Negro and Malvasia in the Canaries versus Montenegro and Calette in the Balearics. And even the farming itself is a world apart. That heroic viticulture with ancient, ungrafted vines in the Canaries compared to more traditional and modern methods in the Balearics. All of this, of course, leads to two totally distinct wine profiles: high acidity, mineral, saline, and smoky from the Canaries, and medium-bodied, fruity, aromatic, and elegant from the Balearics. So what's the big deal? Why does all this matter? Well, it matters because these islands offer us something that's getting incredibly rare in the world of wine: a pure, unfiltered expression of a place. You know? They're this powerful reminder that wine, at its heart, is agriculture. It comes from the earth. It really all boils down to this. These wines are an authentic expression of where they come from. They're not just something to drink. They are liquid landscapes. When you drink a wine from the Canary Islands, you are tasting the volcano. And with a Balearic wine, you're tasting the Mediterranean sun. They just perfectly capture the power of nature and the incredible, passionate work of the people who make them. So really the only question left is, where are you going to start your exploration? Are you going for the fiery, mineral-driven wines of the Atlantic volcanoes or the elegant, sun-drenched wines of the Mediterranean? The choice is yours. Cheers to your next great discovery.